Welcome to the show and welcome to Glow So Bright. I'm not in my studio right now. I'm in the rooftop of some Bangkok building, but the show must go on. And for today's episode, I'll talk about Death Valley Mag. Now, what is Death Valley Mag? Death Valley Mag was created in December 2009 by James W., where he uploads his own articles and ideas in a unfortunately now defunct weblog. Him, as well as many other contractors, have shared their own experiences, advice, survival tips, and other anecdotes on Death Valley Mag, and it talks about the tips and tricks and the tools of the trade of the private military contractor in the golden age of PMCs out in the Iraq War and Afghanistan during the 2000s. Not to be confused with the golden age of the 1960s and 70s in Africa. So, what does Death Valley Mag have? Well, it contains several bits of information outside of being a contractor, outside the wire over in Iraq and Afghanistan or Haiti or many of these other areas, while in R&R, such as over in Thailand, or while in transit, many survival tips on how to not end up in a third world prison and get man-raped. And also how to be fiscally responsible and not end up, like blowing all your money on blackjack and hookers and end up broke out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers.
These articles have tongue-in-cheek humor, and I can tell that a lot of them are created in that way, often out of frustration. Let's read a few articles. Civilian contractors, douchebag contractors, about James's experiences in dealing with contractors who have a stick so far up their ass it pokes right out their mouth. Deployed, learn how to wear a shoulder holster properly, or for fuck's sake, stop wearing it. Man, what a time where we had all sorts of terrible duty holsters before the invention of the Safariland ALS and SLS, such as the Black Hawk Serpa, the M12 flap holster, and poorly made leather holsters from the Iraqi Bazaar. Tactical gear. If I hear one more person talk about how fucking great multicam is, I'm going to go kick a kitten in the head, where James is ranting about the increasing proliferation of multicam. I hope he doesn't travel so far into the future, into present day, where he finds out that it's a standard camouflage pattern of the United States Army, the United States Air Force, and variants of it in, say, the British military, the Australian Army, and the de facto camouflage of most NATO nations nowadays, and even in some use by the Russian Army in Ukraine. Crazy. How to write a damn letter, where apparently so many contractors are illiterate, not being able to format a letter or email properly. That I can agree with and have full empathy for. I've dealt so much frustration, where I dealt with so much frustrations during my military stint, where I dealt with illiterate people all the way from the private, or worst case, a college-educated specialist, all the way up to the master sergeant. Terrible. Most of these articles inside Death Valley Magazine are created by James W. With contributions by other contributors such as Bubba, Jeffrey M. Olson, Daniel C., and others, where them, from their own individual experiences, have stints as a private military contractor out in the Horn of Africa, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other places. Besides these articles on survival tips, travel tips, and tricks of the trade, there are other articles on how to be more competent, professional, and courteous. Really important for not just for contractors and PMCs, but for people in general. Some of these articles are ahead of its time. For example, Luke W. writes about the Greyman concept. And no, I'm talking about not wearing from head to toe in all gray clothing, but to blend in, or at least blend in as best as you can, out in a Middle Eastern airport or in some area, as best as you can as an American or a Brit or an Aussie, and not be decked out in either military garb or the full 511 catalog. Now, besides having written articles on Death Valley Mag, on the Death Valley Mag's YouTube channel, run and created by James W. There are multiple videos, most of them uploaded while in the middle of Iraq, on his own experiences and anecdotes on gear evaluation, such as on knives, tactical clothing, and magazine pouches. These videos will be in the video description below, as well as in the top right corner of this video. However, much of the rants created in Death Valley magazine are reflected as a trend of the habit of the time, where it was originally some sort of practice by troops or special forces operators that became imitated by, say, convoys and private military contractors, often without the context on why it is, and it leads to a lot of shenanigans and dumb stuff happening. For example, in an article written by James titled, "Tactical Gear. Tactical Ball Caps Look Stupid," was written about a tactical ball cap. A baseball cap without a little nub on the top, with Velcro on the front, top, and rear. Meanwhile, the use of the baseball cap by special forces was a signifier to Iraqi locals that, hey, special forces are operating in the area. If you try and mess with them, they will track you down, close with, and absolutely destroy you.
Directed insurgent activity. So we went to baseball hats as a far recognition signal. In Baghdad, there was thousands of U.S. soldiers, and you'd be out and about. And if we wore baseball hats and you were working in crowds of people, it was easy to tell other SF guys apart from the regular soldiers that were out there. If you go back in time and look at old photos of the fall of Baghdad, there were civilians, thousands of civilians out in the streets. The thousands of soldiers doing their separate missions. So we wore baseball hats for a far recognition signal. Also, and I did this a lot.
I'd like to thank Jeff Gurich of Modern Tactical Shooting, and I'll post his video in the top right of this video, as well as the video description and timestamp below. So what does Death Valley Mag have to do with Thailand? Well, a lot actually. And while this country has changed a lot since the 2014 junta and has become a lot less chaotic, a lot of these articles still apply here, where, for example, how to not end up in Thai prison and get man-raped, how to not blow all your money after your own stint in Iraq and not blow it all on some Thai bar girl or lady boy and end up with being broke, heartbroken, have gone to Harper AIDS, and be in serious, serious trouble just because you saw that deployment 2 out of 10 was really, really hot when you're out in the middle of the desert for like 6 months on and 3 months off. Well, I'm here. I'm free. I'm not broke. I don't have dick rot. And I'm pretty happy and I'm chilling. But Thailand is also mentioned a lot over in Death Valley Mag besides misadventures over in Cowboy Soy. For example, in the article on how to reliably use the AK-47 while as a contractor in Iraq, one anecdote and one tip is to find high-quality, brass-cased, United States-produced ammunition for your AK. However, to get it over there in that country in theater, a bit difficult. So to curry up some favors, if you know someone who has that sort of ammunition in that article, offer him a spot in your Thai apartment over in Bangkok. Might get what you need. Booze also works too, but that little spot out in Southeast Asia might be your ticket to having life be better for your job. Now, unfortunately, Death Valley Mag has been defunct since 2016. Thankfully, due to the Wayback Machine and archive.org, down in the video description below, you can find articles and posts and their website in an archive format. Almost like a time capsule. A shame really, since we have renewed interest in military contractors and PMCs. And while we don't have those gigs that are abundant and lucrative out in Iraq and Afghanistan, or out in the Horn of Africa to fight against Somali pirates, in fiction we have video games such as Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Escape from Tarkov, Gray Zone Warfare.
I'm in Arsenal.
We have comics such as Black Powder, Red Steel. We have even real actual PMC activity, especially from Russian groups such as Wagner out in Ukraine, out in Syria, and out in Africa, such as the Central African Republic. Now, James, if you ever stumble on this video or this channel, comment down below and shoot me an email and visit me on my website. I'd love to interview you. Now, if you do enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. Now, if you do enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. Comment down below on what you think. Read the video description. And if you'd like to see more content like this, subscribe. Also, please show your support. Give me a Ko-fi if you want. I greatly appreciate it. This video is on Death Valley Mag and brought to you by Glow So Bright. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah. For this video, I did multiple takes and accidentally had my fly down the whole time. So before you do a video, make sure that's up. You don't want any sort of embarrassment.